Hey Susan. Hey, I just thought instead of typing it up or taking a picture, I thought I would read you like the the little part about teaching and that related to what's going on and stuff. And so, yeah, I thought that might be a little faster or maybe even typing it up. But let me see if I can find it. And it kind of, yeah, it goes along with what you already read on my post about, dang it all, I don't want to flunk that pop quiz. Um, so, um, I think, yeah, where it pretty much ended on that comment was how a teacher responds to the resulting lessons is up to the individual. So, when I was teaching many years ago, I saw the overview of this pop quiz only after I had been battered by the unhealed projections of students and the neediness of people who could never get enough attention. I had already changed the focus of my personal path and was taking time for myself and my family. I had stopped traveling to teach groups except on reservations when I was asked to speak or teach by the tribal elders or human resource directors. I changed my focus so that I could write and clone myself through my books without having to be on the road all the time. Coyote gave me a rare opportunity to see something I had not noticed before. I was approached by three women who asked if I would share some teachings with them. I had declined originally because I do not take personal students. After 3 weeks of their pleading and phone calls, I dishonored my own boundary and personal path by agreeing. I shared over 400 hours of quality time, and in return, I was given three $1.59 bags of Bull Durham tobacco and a hidden gift that did not surface until later. I was teaching these women to become self empowered, and they did not tell me that they were also following the teachings of a Native American man from a reservation who had taught them a rigid set of rules to keep them submissive and helpless. Unknowingly, I contradicted his viewpoint, and the women decided that since he was born on a reservation and I was not, his knowledge was the only true and authentic wisdom. The basket full of jealousy, directed criticism, and judgments filtered back to me when others repeated what had been said by the three students. Coyote was showing me that if you dishonor yourself and your boundaries, what you are sharing will also be dishonored or belittled. I was stunned at my own acts of self sabotage, having set myself up for the coyote lesson, but I learned how to respect my sacred space, and I was given a gift of seeing one of my personal blind spots. One of the women came to me a couple of years later and wanted to unburden herself and apologize. She told me things that all three of the women had said about me behind my back. She asked me to forgive her jealousy and envy, which had fueled her actions. She admitted that all three of them wanted a man to tell them what to do. I forgave her, and we are friends to this day. I had been blind to the jealousy and envy of others, and I did not recognize these women's resentment when it was staring me in the face. This lesson was a big wake up call for me. All teachers are confronted with students who want to show how much they supposedly know, comparing what they have learned from others to what the teacher is presenting. If the teacher tries to defend any portion of what she or he is sharing, Coyote will come to call. One of the easiest ways to handle this situation is to ask these students if they are willing to listen to another point of view. If they are not, tell them they are free to leave and return to the teacher they are touting as being superior. Wow, I have to file that away for myself. So I'm going to read that again. One of the easiest ways to handle this situation is to ask these students if they are willing to listen to another point of view. If they are not, tell them they are free to leave and return to the teacher they are touting as being superior. The proper use of wisdom is a tricky thing. We need to know when to let people make jackasses of themselves and when to stop them from disrupting a learning situation. Every teacher encounters high maintenance students who need lots of attention because of their basic insecurities and need for approval. If you give too much, they can suck you dry and drain the energy of the entire group with their constant rambling questions, which may or may not apply to the subject at hand. Every teacher must learn how to handle a variety of situations that boil down essentially to boundary issues. The teacher is the person in charge of setting proper boundaries, which will allow learning to occur. Guidelines for what is and is not appropriate are maintained for the benefit of the entire group, not only for the teacher. If these boundaries are dishonored, chaos can ensue, destroying the focus and intent of the learning experience or severely restricting the amount of informative data that could have been shared. Any person who is an instructor, teacher, team leader, facilitator, expert in a field, or lecturer has had to face some or all of these lessons. Certain teachers seem to be the bullseye targets for Coyote's adventures, while others seem to avoid any major conflicts. This is not to say that the minor conflicts do not knock even the most congenial teachers off balance from time to time. The personality of the teacher has a lot to do with whether she or he encounters Coyote's lessons or gains experience in milder, more gentle ways. If a teacher is even-tempered and serene, never confronting or challenging the student, nobody's buttons get pushed and the student has absolutely no idea what the teacher is really thinking or feeling. So that's interesting too, because maybe I need that. If a teacher is even-tempered and serene, never confronting or challenging the student, nobody's buttons get pushed and the student has absolutely no idea what the teacher is really thinking or feeling. If a teacher is boisterous or passionate, earthy, and a bit irreverent, the stereotypical ideas of what an enlightened teacher should be can shatter, and some students' buttons invariably get pushed. If the teacher is too formal and inflexible in his or her viewpoint, the students that return to learn from that person are usually heavily invested in the need for decorum, dogma, discipline, and precise rules that encourage rote learning and disallow individuality. We can learn from every kind of teacher and every kind of student. How much we learn is derived from how we view or feel what we are experiencing at any given moment. So, yeah, that's interesting too. So, yeah, I hope that resonates and relates in those ways. Yeah, that was interesting. That it's okay to be confronting and it's okay to challenge because sometimes our buttons need to be pushed. Sometimes we need to be confronted. To clear a space. So, when the mind has an ego of its own, another fourth path enlightenment trap preventing authentic wisdom from being attained by teachers is the trap of consciously withholding needed information. My medicine teachers in Mexico taught me that we are only as skillful and impeccable as the teachers who taught us. In order to maintain their position of being the enlightened one or king of the mountain, many teachers feel that they must delete or edit the content of what they know and what they are willing to share with their students. This perpetuates the teacher's false sense of self-importance and creates new generations of inept students who usually adopt the arrogance or weaknesses of those who taught them. My teachers taught me that the authentic, adept, healed healer, or wise teacher will always work to ensure that his or her students are equally or more skilled. When I was in college, I observed professors who demonstrated jealousy when they encountered a student who was exceptionally bright. These students often outwitted the professor by posing questions that were valid and thought-provoking but threatened the professor who had never ventured beyond his or her own belief system. Any teacher who is unwilling to say, gee, I don't know, and has not completed... any teacher who is unwilling to say, gee, I don't know, has not completed the wisdom path. Having to be the sole authority who has an answer for every question under the sun is an enlightenment trap. Know-it-alls and pseudo-intellectuals who use complex terminology and ambiguous concepts to confound others are not the keepers of authentic wisdom. The fourth path is where what we have learned must be integrated and used with heart. Knowing something intellectually does not make it wisdom. Integrating thoughts into concepts that are lived daily is the path of wisdom. The gifts of authentic wisdom require a marriage to occur within each individual. The head and the heart have to be used in equal measure if we are to attain wisdom. In many people, the body-mind-heart split is a mechanism that creates denial. I don't even know if I could say that. Thimkin. It's like thinking, but instead of an N, it's an M. Thimkin is a coined humorous term that addresses the machinations of the mind that keep us from understanding and incorporating thought into wisdom. When the mind thinks it knows something but the heart is uninvolved, we do not feel how the information or experience impinges on our lives. If we think and feel, we find balance instead of inappropriate thinking or thinking. I have seen countless people who could espouse the most profound and wise concepts, yet who, when confronted with a situation that could have easily been solved by applying the exact principles they preached, they were lost and clueless. This example of thinking That's hard to say. Think, thinking occurs frequently on the earlier paths of initiation. If it is not handled by the fourth path, Coyote can wallop us with a dilly of a pop quiz, life lesson, or dark night of the soul. The message is get out of your head. If we do not blend the heart's messages with the intellect, we may be forced to open our hearts through pain, sorrow, or grieving. I saw one person who refused to come from his heart and used his intellect as his defense mechanism, denying and enduring one wake-up call after another. Longtime friends drifted away. His marriage was constantly on the rocks. After 7 years of near breakups, a tragedy forced him to acknowledge what was really important. When his teenage daughter, who was Daddy's little girl, was killed in a boating accident while he was driving the boat, he finally got the message to get out of his head. With a heavy but open heart, he authentically began the lessons of the second and third paths. This man had served his community, had helped others with psychological counseling and healing, was well versed in a multitude of subjects, had developed many of his artistic talents, was a good provider for his family, and had healed certain aspects of his own life. But his intellect had overridden his heart to the point that he used professional boundaries with loved ones, never allowing himself to be vulnerable or human. He had pigeonholed every possible solution and response to life inside the academic concepts of psychology. When he became a university department head, this man believed that he could not appear to learn from others or embrace alternate views while maintaining his intellectually superior status in the eyes of others. He was tied to the false idea that if he did not appear to be precise, proper, and professional at all times, his reputation would be permanently damaged or destroyed. This instance is a perfect example of how some people can complete a few fourth path lessons and still have the majority of the second and third path lessons to learn. Yeah, this is a really good book, Dancing the Dream, The 7 Sacred Paths of Human Transformation by Jamie Sams. And she's also one of the co-authors of Medicine Cards. So, yeah, I've read like most of this book. It's kind of funny, I didn't read it from front to back. And like ever since I got it a couple of years ago, I've like read chunks and different chapters and stuff. And because like it's funny in a way that the 7 sacred paths, they're not linear. They're actually not like, it's not from point A to point B or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's like, yeah, it's a spiral, you know, yeah, and a labyrinth. And so like it's pretty cool, like that. Sometimes like I feel like I'm learning stuff on like the 4th, 5th, and 6th paths right now, but I also have like things to tie up on the 3rd paths, you know, I feel like sometimes. And so like it's yeah, it's kind of funny like where it's not, there's not like one path where we arrive or whatever. We're just it just is, and we're yeah, we are just as we are. Here we are. And so, like, this is it. This is it. It's a part of it, and it's it. Yeah. So, I like that. So, wherever we are, there we are. So, yeah, here we are. So, thanks for coming to hang out with me today and share our mutual, yeah, struggles, challenges, and opportunities that we get to play with and be with and work through and, yeah. Play through and play at through playing, yeah, playing at being. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that, and yeah, I might like send another one soon if I'm led to. So hey, thank you again. Okay, we'll talk to you again soon. Okay, ciao for now.